Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, a bit of a different video. Today's video we're going to be doing changes that I'd like to see for all the killers. Now, to be clear, none of these except one. There is one killer who I think needs a complete rework, but I'm not focusing on a complete rework. I just want like changes, very small changes, if that makes sense. Second of all, I'm not going to go too in-depth on add-ons, except in the case of Hillbilly and Cannibal, because the Cannibal and Hillbilly rework is probably coming out some point this week, probably on Tuesday. That's what I'm thinking as of now. It might be next week though. So I want to talk about them, their new kits, and some changes I'd like to see there. And I'm especially going to look at their add-ons, because their add-ons are probably the most busted part of them at the minute. Links to all the clips that I've stolen are in the description, because I've stolen a bunch of clips probably. I don't know what I've done yet, but I've probably stolen a bunch of clips. But anyway, let's get on to the first kill. Now first, I'm going to look at Hillbilly. Hillbilly received a lot of negative feedback to his PTB version. I obviously think the numbers were overkill, but I don't think the mechanic itself is bad. It's interesting. But what they need to focus on is they need to make sure that this overheat mechanic is manageable. And what that means is that as a Hillbilly player, I can look at my bar and I can say, okay, what can I do right now to make sure that I don't overheat? It can't be something that it's going to limit the player. It's going to be like, yep, it's inevitable that you're going to overheat at some point. It just needs to be tactical, not a thing that you have to plan around. But anyway, let me suggest some changes. So first of all, when going into a chainsaw sprint, I think that after 1.5 seconds, roughly, maybe 1, you should actually begin to cool your chainsaw instead of heat it up. Now, that might sound really weird, but it actually kind of makes sense. It's similar to like how a jet works. A jet, as you increase your speed, you get more air coming in. So if you have more air coming in on a chainsaw, in this case, then it's going to cool quicker. It kind of makes sense, and it also rewards good skill. So if you're skillful with your chainsaw and you can use your chainsaw for a long time, then you're getting rewarded by getting less overheat, cooling down your chainsaw. It just makes kind of a lot of sense actually. What that does end up punishing is you would have to tone up the numbers of that first 1.5 seconds, which will end up punishing the short chainsaws to down people, but if you're downing somebody, your overheat isn't a big issue, I don't think. If it did become a big issue, something they could do is that if you down somebody, you like sizzle their body or something, and it like gets rid of a bunch of heat into them, and like they smoke or something. I don't know. That could work, and you like lose a bunch of overheat for that. That would, again, make a bit of sense, but I don't think it's probably needed. If you're downing somebody, you're probably hooking them. And also, if you did that, you would encourage slugging, which I don't think the devs want to do. Second thing I would do, actually, is increase his chainsaw speed, default one. And I would probably increase it from 230 to 250%. Not a massive increase, just a bit. While we're on that point, unnerf Doom and Death engravings. I don't know why you've done it. The next point, I would remove the speed limiter from low pro chains. I have no idea why there's a speed limiter on it. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's an iridescent add-on. It's allowed to be OP. Not iridescent head OP, but OP. It's allowed to be OP. While we're on speed limiter, they should make it so you get an increased charge speed. So because I've removed all but one charge add-on from the game, allow that to have moderately increased charge on it, so you can charge up your chainsaw quicker, because you're only going to be able to get a basic hit on it. I don't see why you need speed limiter to be so bad, but again, when it comes to charge add-ons, why not make it so the 110 move speed charge add-on, why the hell is it like that? I don't know. Just remove the 110 from it. It's a purple add-on. It's not going to be used every game. It's not that OP either. Just leave it as it is. The other add-on I think really there's 2 more add-ons actually I think that really need addressing. Iridescent brick, I like it, it's cool. You lose your terror radius after 5 seconds of chainsaw sprint, reduce that 5 seconds to 3 seconds personally, and then you've got a really good add-on, because also 3 seconds makes sense. If your chainsaw moves at about 10 meters per second, you're going to be just outside your terror radius by the time Detectable comes in. Mother's Helper needs to instantly end the game. buff Big Buckle, which is the other terror radius add-on he has. It causes an 8 meter drop in terror radius when your chainsaw is in overheat. I'd increase that to 12 or 16 meters. And then it's interesting, because you can then pair it with Monitor and Abuse and have a Hillbilly who's got a terror radius of 8 meters, or 12 meters if you had the 12 meter change. That could be interesting. And I'd also swap its rarity with Black Grease to rare. Make it slightly better. And yeah, that's about it. I still think some more of his add-ons need to change. They just seem a bit weird. But let's get on to Cannibal. Now, generally, I think Cannibal's pretty good, actually. I think Cannibal's in a great place. I think they might need to add a second onto each, like getting each charge back. Just 1 second. That's not a major nerf. I just think he might regain charges slightly too quick. I also found it interesting that they increased his move speed in Chainsaw. I don't think that was necessary. It's nice. I don't think it needs removing either. But again, if he does come out to be incredibly OP, that might need to be removed. And as well as that, if he is like insanely OP, like just smashes through pallets, if that's the case and he like gets rid of all the pallets after 2 gens, then maybe add it so he loses his charges if he breaks a pallet. But that's only if he's massively overperforming. I don't want that if he's not overperforming. Trapper. Now, Trapper is one of the weakest killers in the game in my opinion, but he's actually like a really put together killer who makes a lot of sense. And I don't think you could massively buff him ever, really. And and you definitely can't nerf him. You should never nerf him. He's just who he is. He makes a lot of sense. But I have a couple of changes I'd like to see on him. First of all, every match, no matter the add-ons, I think Trapper should start with 3 traps. Not increase with add-ons, can't get higher than that with add-ons, but every match he starts with 3 traps in his hand. And so if he has no add-ons, he's got to place down all 3 of those traps before he can pick up another trap. So instead of these bags like giving you traps at the start of the game, have that default. Have it so he has, by default, 3 traps at the start of the game. Could just be interesting, get quicker setup time. That's a big problem. If a trapper wants to like chase at the start of the game, he starts with 1 trap by default. He can place 1, maybe 2 traps by default. If you give him 3 at the start of the game, he can just get 3 down in 20 seconds, then start chasing. That can be impactful. Second of all, I want them to change his trap placements on the ground. So you know how a trap has traps that spawn in the map for him? I'd like the devs to make it so these traps are actually in good trap locations. No windows or pallets. They should not spawn on windows or pallets, but they can spawn on tiles in good, semi-good locations. So he can use his reset trap feature. So if he sees, oh wow, this trap's in a really good place, let's just open this trap up here, bam, and then it could catch someone. But yeah, I don't think they should spawn on the opposite side of windows or on pallets, simply because that's just too good. He needs to have set that trap up. It would be too much of a buff to make it so they spawn there. And the final thing I'd do to Trapper is he needs a complete RNG change on his getting out of traps. I've once been a trap for 10 times straight struggles, but then 90% of the time I get out first try. I should not get out first try. So my idea is that if you get stuck in a trap, you have to try at least 2 times before you can possibly get out. Then you have the RNG come in, but if you go to 6 times of attempting to escape, it'll automatically let you out. Add-ons can impact this, but that's what I would do. Next, Wraith. So I think Wraith's in a good place as well. He's not really strong, but he does have a strong playstyle that has been demonstrated multiple times. But I think he could do with a couple of buffs. So first of all, you know the whoosh that happens every time he goes in, or is it in and out? I think it is in and out of cloak. Remove it. Just get rid of it. Not on killer side, on survivor side. So this noise, I'll play it now. Get rid of that. Second of all, make the bell, not including add-ons, ignore the add-ons right here, make the bell local and only be heard within 32 meters. And the reason for these 2 changes, by the way, is that I want it to be so it's a little harder to guess whether he is in cloak or isn't in cloak, and it just makes it a bit more scary to not be near him. He automatically gets some map pressure by having this in a way. The worry with this, from a dev point of view, is that this will impact the lower end of the game too much. Noob players would be absolutely terrified of Wraith, and that could be a problem. The final change I'd like to make to Wraith is currently in the PTB, when the Wraith used Lightborn, it would cause him to not be burnt. I think that's cool, and I think that should be made part of the game. A lot of people reckon it's a bug. Please don't be a bug. I like that. That's cool. It is interesting. After trying one time, you will know. When you haven't burnt him after trying it, you will know that that's not how it works. It's not OP, it's just interesting. It's depth. Nurse. So, Nurse is a bit of a buggy mess currently. So first of all, fix her bugs. She's just got weird bugs that I can't even explain how they're caused. And there's another bug that actually happens on the survivor side that I think needs fixing. Basically how she works is, I'm pretty sure every time she blinks, her like body will spawn in 0.2 seconds early, or not, I think it's 0.2. Basically, if she does a really short blink, her body won't spawn at all. And I think it must be if the blink is shorter than 0.2 seconds. And what you'll have is the nurse is on you right now, but you can't see her at all. They've made it so she should always spawn in before she's actually there. So if the blink is shorter than that period, it won't spawn at all. And that just makes it look really weird. You basically get hit by something invisible from a survivor point of view. I'll try and show a clip of what it looks like. I had it happen a couple of days ago. It's not a big deal because I'm always getting hit there. I'm always getting hit. But I just would like it to be better feedback because it feels unfair, even though it definitely isn't unfair. I know for a fact it's not unfair. She should hit them. But it feels unfair because you can't see her. The second thing I would do, she needs a really big add-on rework. Some of her add-ons are just so weird. Like that Scream add-on. What is that? It's such a weird add-on. Just give her some add-ons that actually affect her kit. That's what people want. They want add-ons that actually, in a good way, affect the kit, not make her worse. Like the add-on that forces you to blink at fully charged the second you blink once. It's just such a weird add-on. And another add-on that really definitely needs looking at is Torn Book. It's an iridescent add-on which gives you 3 blinks, but you can't blink through objects. You don't need that. It's an iridescent add-on, so it won't be around too much. 3 blink Nurse was a bit broken, but you don't need to nerf it to that degree. As an iridescent add-on, it would be fine to just have it as a 3 blink add-on. And the final thing I would do to Nurse is just have a quick look at her auto-lock. Her auto-lock is a little bit too much at the minute, I think. I'm not sure. I don't play Nurse myself, honestly. Maybe it is okay, but it does look very weird when I've played against her. But that's all Nurse really needs. Nurse is pretty good. She's strong as hell, but really good. She doesn't feel unfair. Next, Myers. All the Myers mains out there are going to love me. Add Bloodlust back to tier 1. I don't know why you got rid of it. I do kind of, but please just give tier 1 Myers Bloodlust. It would be so much more fun. Second of all, remove the VSync bug with stalking. I say the same thing about Ghostface when we get to him. Just remove it. It's so weird. Just fix it. If you have to, turn VSync off for these killers because it literally fixes the problem. And third, I actually only think it needs 1 add-on rework, and that's Vanity Mirror. Vanity Mirror is just weird. It's Scratched Mirror in tier 2 that only works within 16 meters, where Scratched actually works within 32 meters. I just don't get it. That's such a bad add-on. Just either take it away from that whole seeing through wall thing. Just do something interesting. Or just make something really unique, because that's what makes Myers great. Myers is probably the most unique killer in the game, and that's really cool. You don't need to mess with his numbers. He's just cool. He's not strong, but he's cool. Hag. This is a controversial one. I play a lot of Hag, and I need to just say this. I think camping as Hag, although it seems that everybody says, oh, this is the best strategy for Hag, I just don't agree. I think map pressure on tiles with Hag is so strong. And so, what I'm advocating for is that they should remove the ability of a Hag to place traps right next to hooks. That's controversial, and I know it, but that's my opinion. They need to... It would just make her so much less campy, and I hate this campy style that Hag has. It just is so boring, because Hag is such a strong killer, and nobody realizes it, apparently. The camping isn't what makes her strong. It's all the other stuff. The second thing, I think she needs her waterlogged shoe to change. It's just the weirdest add-on I've ever seen. She can't teleport to traps. It apparently slightly increases her movement speed. I don't know by how much, but I don't think it does very much. Just make it do something else. It's an iridescent add-on. Make it do something cool like Mint Rag. And third of all, another controversial one actually, I think they should remove the camera snap from Hag traps. I know some Hags know how to really abuse this. It just, again, feels really rough from a survivor point of view. I know why they've done it. It is scarier. It makes like getting hit by a Hag trap really scary, but it can, if for lower skill survivors who like to run in straight lines, really annoying. For higher skill, it's really annoying. It's just annoying. It's my reasoning. I find it annoying, but this one isn't necessary. This is my personal opinion rather than, wow, this really needs to change. I just don't really think it's needed. I think Hag, again, great place. She's so strong. She's so strong, and if you get rid of that camping aspect of her, she's fun to go against. You know, scouting for traps and triggering a trap in the right way to make it so she teleports, but you actually get away is satisfying. And let's get on to Doctor. Now, Doctor, my life. I loved his rework for the first month, and I played so much Doctor, and I got incredibly bored after about 3 weeks, about 150 games. He's too easy right now. He's just too easy. I have not lost a game as Doctor in probably, I did lose a couple when he first came out, but since then, not lost any. His new power is just too strong. So how I'd fix it? First of all, I would decrease the cone size on his shock right now. It's massive. Not reduce the range, but reduce the the radius. So make it less wide. Make it more precision based. Because Shaq, for example, you just send a shock in there, it will hit somebody. You know it will. They can't get God Pallet or Window. So instead of doing that, make it so it's a prediction. You can either hit the God Window or hit the God Pallet. And so the survivor does have a choice. But if the survivor makes the wrong choice, then you get the hit. You know, that idea. I would prefer that massively. Second of all, Iridescent King needs a complete nerf. It is so crazy strong. His afflictions are so annoying as a survivor. I find them incredibly annoying. And to have an add-on that gives you all of them for free, pretty much, because you will tier somebody up to tier 3 accidentally. You don't need to do this intentionally. You will accidentally do it. That's just crazy. Third, he probably needs a cooldown on his shock, because he could just spam shock every pallet. Like, literally, the gameplay you get against a Doctor is run around a pallet, shock, to make sure you can't drop it. He slows down slightly, but he will still gain a tiny bit of distance on you each time. It's just boring, because the best way to play against a Doc who just spam shocks is to run around that pallet as long as you can, just let him hit you, run to the next pallet, do the exact same thing. It's just a time waste thing. It's actually not fun from a Doctor point of view, but so many Doctors play him that way. They just spam shock, spam shock, spam shock, spam shock. What it should be is skill. Use that shock right to deny that pallet when you're just about caught up, and that will give you the hit. It will give you the hit, and that's what is fun about Doc. Just make it so you can fake it as well, by the way. Make it so you can fake a shock. The survivor will keep running because they're like, oh, he's shot. Ooh, sorry about that. He's shocking me. And then he can get that shock back immediately because he faked it. And then as they go around shock preemptively, he won't be able to drop a pallet, and then he can hit them. Like, just make him interesting. Give him some depth. He has no depth. He's so easy to play. It drives me nuts because I really enjoy his gameplay, actually, if it was harder. He's a lot of fun to play because you instantly find survivors all the time. You will always be in chase. That's great about him. You're always chasing. You don't have to worry about gens too much. That is the counter to Doc, by the way, if you want to know. Do gens. He just needs to be harder to play to make it so if you're good at him, you get rewarded. If you're bad at him, you don't. Currently, you can be terrible at Doc and still get rewarded. You know, a rank 20 doctor who just understands what Doctor does, like not somebody who just doesn't know how he works. Somebody who understands what he does can beat probably low red ranks pretty easily. The only way you lose as Doctor at the minute is Generous. The other thing I'd do, his add-ons, all the levels of his add-ons have the same amount of affliction. Change that. That's just not needed. I don't want a brown add-on that can give me all the afflictions that a purple add-on can. I know the numbers are slightly different. They're not even that big difference. It's like on the order add-ons, it's what? 2 seconds between brown and yellow, and then 2 seconds between yellow and purple. Is it even that? It might be less than that. Doctor just needs a bit more of a rework. The numbers need turning down. Also, I'm going to advertise someone here. Archdruid Dre, great gamer. He's the best Doc in the game. Doc main in the game. Go check out what he has suggested for the rework. He'll be in the top right corner. Huntress. So I actually think Huntress is great. Huntress is one of the most fun killers in the game outside of the hitboxes. Now, to be clear, I'm not sure if the hitboxes are actually the thing that's broken, but if they are, fix them. If not, then there's nothing that can be done really. Second of all, I think she needs an overall slight add-on rework. Just a couple of add-ons need to touch up, especially Eerie Head. Now what I would do to Eerie Head personally is make it so it's insta-down from more than 16 meters, and make it so the hatchets go through survivors, even at less than 16 meters, and also make it so it no longer reduces the number of hatchets. Now the reason I do this is it's actually a benefit from plus 16 meters and less than 16 meters. Like, if you were to make these two separate iridescent add-ons, that'd be terrible, because you would never end up hitting these. But the second you put them together, it's like, oh, I have an option from less than 16 meters. I also have an option from more than 16 meters that are both pretty good. That's why I would do that. Also needs a new Eerie add-on because of how they do the add-ons. My idea for a new Eerie add-on would be one that increases Huntress's move speed and reduces the number of hatchets she has by 3, maybe 4, but also because you're reducing the number you allow extra hatchets using infantry belt. And what's the other one? Lever loop even. She doesn't need huge changes, it's just those add-ons, and the hitboxes can be annoying if it is the hitboxes that cause it. Freddy. I have a rather big change for Freddy. Now, one of the most annoying things when you go against a Freddy is the fact that the second they hook somebody and they have Pop Goes the Weasel, all they do is teleport to your gen and pop it. Now that is honestly one of the most frustrating things about Freddy. There's multiple other things that are frustrating about Freddy, but that's one of the worst. And I have a fix for that. So I think that every time Freddy teleports to a gen, Freddy should apply the dream state to that gen. So what it will do is, you know how it oozes with blood when he's teleporting? Well, after he's teleported to the gen, it will sort of like ooze, kind of have blood on it all over, and it will be in the dream state. Now, when it's in the dream state, Freddy can't kick the gen, but any survivor who touches that gen will be put into dream state. Survivors who are already in dream state aren't affected. This does nothing. And what will also happen is, while a gen's in dream state, it will slowly regress by 0.5 charges a second. Now, if somebody's working on it, this won't happen. But, again, if somebody in dream state touches the gen, they don't knock it out of dream state. Somebody who isn't in dream state has to touch the gen to knock it out of dream state, but if they do that, it puts them into dream state. Does that kind of make sense? That's what I would do to it, to his kit. He would get the kick on the gen by making it regress with the dream state, but you also wouldn't get that 25% off that you get with Pop Goes the Weasel, which is so hugely annoying. It would also give Freddy more gameplay, actually, because people would be in dream state more. It would also provide a lot of slowdown, because if people want to go wake up to get out of dream state, they have to run across the map. And as well as that, it's kind of an inbuilt ruin. So if somebody in dream state who's doing the gen on a dream state gen gets off the gen, it'll start regressing. Not as quick as Rim, but it will start regressing. I just think that's a cool idea that could work. I just find that playstyle really boring. And it also doesn't get rid of Pop Goes Weasel on him, because he can teleport to a gen near the one he actually wants to pop, if that makes sense, rather than teleporting to the one he wants to pop and he can still pop it. As well as that, you may need to nerf the numbers of Freddy's snares. I'm not 100% sure. I actually don't think they're crazy OP, and I really like the gameplay that you get with the windows, in the fact that a well-placed snare will give you a slow vault, whereas a badly placed snare won't. That's a skill cap. I like that. That's interesting. And as well as that, I think Freddy probably should be slowed down when placing snares, just so he can't spam them on pallets, because that is all that 90% of Freddy's do. That takes no skill, and it gives some free hits. It's rewarding bad skill. You should want to reward good skill. That's what I want to do with Freddy. I still think Freddy will probably be quite annoying after this, but not as bad. Pig. One change I would make to her, but I understand why the devs wouldn't, is make her terror radius 24 meters by default. Now, I know why the devs don't want to do this. They don't want to do this because the way that terror radiuses work, killers who have a power that is either range or mobility will get the lower terror radius, but also the low move speed, 110. If you have a 110 move speed, you have a 24 meter terror radius. That's how it works. And Pig's 115, so she has a 32 meter terror radius. That makes sense. But it would also add so much to Pig to have a 24 meter terror radius, because what it would then allow is you to run whispers without having to run monitor and abuse, and you'll be able to sneak up on people knowing they're there without having to waste 2 perk slots to do it. Second thing that I really think needs changing with her is the traps, the head traps. The RNG on them is ridiculous. Now, what I would do is make it so that each trap randomly has an amount of boxes you need to search for it to come off. I think I heard this suggested by somebody else. So if I did, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but thank you. Between all 4 traps, each one will take 1, 2, 3, and 4 boxes to get off, but it will be in a random order. So you could have the first one takes 3 boxes to get off. Second trap takes 1 box to get off. Third one takes 4, and the fourth one takes 2. If that makes sense. To do with the extra box add-on, which spawns an extra box in the map, make it so on the back end. Don't say this to the community, but make it so each one of these traps takes 1 extra box to get off, so that you actually get use out of that 5th box being there. As well as that, the one that gives you an extra trap should give that trap a random amount of boxes to get off, so 1, 2, 3, or 4 boxes. And as well as that, the box one, the one that gives you extra boxes, should remove the ability to see the boxes from Pig, so she can't go around patrolling boxes if she's running that add-on. As well as that, I'd probably increase the move speed on Pig, not move speed, the dash move speed on Pig. Currently it's 172.5% move speed. That could go up to 175, 180. Just make her a little bit scarier. But also make it so it does the same distance. And also increase her her crouch move speed. Her crouch move speed is only 90% right now. That's insane. I would increase that to probably at least 100%, if not like 105. I have no idea why it's so low. There's no reason for it. Just increase that crouch speed, please. It'd make her so much of a better killer. Alright, Clown. Now, Clown is the exception to what I said at the start. Clown needs a complete rework. He just is the most boring killer in the game. He's not even good. Right. Like, he is such a bad killer, and as well as that, he is so unfun to play against. So you can't, if you buff Clown, you make him even more unfun to go against. And if you nerf Clown, you make him even worse at the game. He's already the worst killer in the game. He just needs a complete change. I don't really know what they should do, but they need to do something. Spirit! First of all, they need to fix the Mother-Daughter Ring and Yakuyoke Amulet add-on combo. It's broken. It gives her extra duration or something. It's a weird combo that just for some reason is insanely strong. They need to nerf it, fix it, whatever. There's something wrong with it. It's insane. Second of all, when Spirit's in phase, they should make it so every second you get a glimpse of where she is, like old Freddy, like how old Freddy used to work. They should make it like that, so you get a glimpse of where she is, so it at least doesn't feel ridiculous anymore when she's just suddenly on your back. And finally, I would probably make her phase directional, if you're hearing the noise of her phase. As well as that, make it so it's clear that it's meant to work in terror radius. I'm pretty sure it's like that right now, that you hear it in terror radius, but they haven't explicitly said that's how it's meant to be. So just like say that is what's meant to happen, so that I can actually like rely on it, because I feel like I can't rely on it being there, so you quite often end up ignoring it. But yeah, Spirit, I don't think there's much more you could do without just removing her gameplay completely from the game. She's gonna always be crazy strong. She feels uncounterable. I know that's gonna be how she is, but that's what I would do to make her a little bit more bearable. Legion! First off, if you have genuinely removed the Legion tech from the game, add it back. Why does that make any sense whatsoever to remove something like that? Legion tech was so obscure. I've never seen somebody do it, like a Legion in the game, do the Legion tech. I've done it once in like 100 games as Legion. It is so obscure, and it's completely based on the survivor doing something. There's no reason it shouldn't be in the game. Second of all, I would increase Legion's frenzy speed, but also decrease the duration in such a way that he still covers the same distance, but faster. I think that could be interesting. It'll make him a little bit more action-based. And also what it does is, if you leave the vault animation for Legion the same, he's wasting duration when he has to vault something. So a survivor getting to a vault is a good play by the survivor. It feels a little bit less... Again, Legion's frenzy does feel in a way uncounterable. So that removes that aspect. There's a bit of counter. If you can get to windows a lot, that's really well played by the survivor. Good job. And it really gives the Legion a lot more fun because they're moving faster, which gives them a lot more action. It lets them do a lot more. When they've hit somebody, for example, they can go block a pallet. It's so hard to do that right now. You can do it, but it's really hard. And you have to fully commit to it. This would make it so much easier. Third, make it so vaulting a pallet is and breaking it is base kit. I know it's an iridescent button. I don't think it needs to be an add-on at all. I don't think it's OP. It might be, but I don't think it is. Just add it to base kit. And fourth, rework all his mend add-ons to do other things, because mending really doesn't impact the game anymore. It is a bit of a waste of time, but not a huge waste of time. Having longer mend time does nothing. So maybe make it like increased frenzy speed or something. That could be interesting. Next killer, Plague. I actually think Plague's in a fantastic place. The second they added that fountain to her, that just changed her completely. If you guys haven't been watching Plague gameplay, in fact I might upload a video on this, because I think Plague is insane now. Not AS, none of that. But I think she's a really good killer now, and she actually has some gameplay to her. So what I would do to her, first of all, and make it so no matter how sick you are, you do spread that sickness. So you don't have to be fully sick to spread sickness. Second of all, let the Plague see this sickness on the HUD. I don't think it's OP to not have it. No, I don't think it's OP to have it even, because I don't really know what benefit you get from not seeing it, really. The only thing is she can time her lunge perfectly if she's right on your back, or like get the exact amount of puke to make you sick. But that's a skill cap. Skill caps are good. That I don't see why it's something that... I do know why it's there, actually. It's because of the whole Legion mend thing. But I don't think it's necessary, especially considering Freddy can see how close to sleep you are. Third thing, this is just a quirky thing that they could add to her kit to just make something interesting. When all the gens are done, she gets 30 seconds of her power. It's not needed at all, but it would just be something interesting, I think. I'd just like to see something interesting added to her. Ghostface! First of all, fix the VSync stalk issue. That needs fixing. It needs fixing on Myers and him. Second of all, please fix the getting knocked out behind walls and not being able to knock him out. It's so weird how that all works. It's just bizarre. And third, when Ghostface goes into his power, do a small local sound effect that says he's just gone into his power. I know there's the cloud, and I use the cloud personally. I look at that cloud and I'm like, okay, he's in stealth now. But the problem is, it's not enough of an indicator to the lower level survivors. And that's who needs the benefit, I think. The higher level survivors already knew when you went into stealth. The only thing you could do was, if like you're at Shack, you backed up a bit from Shack so the cloud didn't get shown in Shack. But that was like a high level play. Adding a noise effect that is in that bubble range or just outside it wouldn't really change that. It's not that big a deal. I just think adding that sound effect is better for the lower level survivors so they understand what's going on. Demo is actually, and again, another really good killer. He's probably one of the most fun killers in the game. Straight up. A couple of things. First of all, I would make Rat's Tail, that's a brown add-on, base kit. What it does is it allows him to place portals at 0.5 seconds instead of 1. Just make that base kit. Being able to place portals quickly isn't insanely strong, but it's really good for quality of life. It'll make the portals way more used. You can then use it for bait pickups as well, by the way. That's just such a cool thing to have at the base of a killer. That's just cool. It's like how they added the shred breaking pallet thing. That made sense. This makes sense as well. And just rework Rat Tail to do something else. Second of all, I think he probably needs a slight slowdown when he comes out of the shred. So having his mouth open but not using it. I think he should probably have a slight slowdown and a attack cooldown. Brief one, not long. Only reason for that is I would rather killers use their power to get hits than not use their power to get hits. It's more interesting that way. Third, all his add-ons need reworks. All of them except the brown ones and a couple of other ones that are pretty decent. Nobody really cares about the portals massively. I think some portal add-ons are good, but having 90% of his add-ons be portal based is so weird and dumb. Genuinely, his best add-ons are brown add-ons. That's kind of concerning. I don't think the strength of the brown add-ons is the problem. It's the strength of the add-ons above it. They just don't do anything good, really. I think a couple of them could stay, but I would rework the majority. Fourth, he needs better hitbox animation synchronization. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Basically, his animation compared to his hitbox is really messed up. I'm pretty sure his animation is like, he goes at a different acceleration, whereas his hitbox is just a constant one. So it means you can get hit from what seems a mile away, whereas you can also seem like you've hit somebody but not actually hit them. It's just weird. Just make it better synchronized. And finally, slightly increases default teleport speed. Not massively, it doesn't need a big increase, just a bit. Just make it a little bit quicker and more viable. Make it more viable. Oni! Got one really big point for Oni. The other two are like really small changes. 1 point for Oni. Remove the fucking auto-lock. Oni currently has auto-lock in his power. They've recently added this, like, not super recently, but in one of the patches in the last 3 months they've added this. And I absolutely hate it from both sides. What it's causing is these 180 degree hits. If you are a survivor and you get hit within that 80 to 90 degree sort of area of his hit, because you're still moving when the hitbox locks on, what it does is wherever you are in the end is where the Oni's thing will hit you. So if the Oni or you has any slight bad pings, anything more than like 30 ping each way, what it will cause is it will cause the Oni to completely snap around to where you end up being before you're downed, and down you there. And that's what's causing these like hits like directly behind him. It's not actually him being able to hit that far back. It's just the game's auto-locking a hit that would have hit. That is auto-locking a hit that the game's detected as a hit and spun the Oni to make it look better, even though it's making it look way worse and it's making Oni look insanely strong. And from Oni's point of view, it is the worst thing for any map that is a building map. Because when you run through the corridors of building maps, and if you're moving like along that wall but you're facing towards the wall and the survivor's on your left or right and you lunge to hit the survivor, it will auto-lock you into the wall because it's based on the old auto-lock the game has, not the new auto-lock, and it is the most infuriating thing. I will not play Oni right now. He is unplayable. Why have you done that? Oni doesn't need auto-lock. Oni's not Nurse. He doesn't need auto-lock. Get rid of it. It is infuriating. Can you tell how angry I am? I hate it with a passion. It's the worst. The other two changes I'd like is make his passive recharge actually do something. It's not like needed, but maybe just make it so when Oni's on 0 blood, his passive recharge can like actually contribute. It just, not for the good players. It's not, don't make it good for high level play, just make it good for people who are bad at Oni. I mean that in no offense, but make it so people who are bad at Oni can actually have a chance of getting their power. And the other thing is I would reduce his default charge up time. Now, everybody who plays Oni uses Top Knot, everyone. And what that does is it reduces the charge time from 2 seconds to 1. What I would do is default reduce your charge time from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds, so that the difference between default and Top Knot isn't so huge. Onis will still use Top Knot, but it makes it so default isn't as different, if that makes sense. 95% of Onis are going to be running Top Knot anyway, and it doesn't, it's just a quality of life. It's not buffing Top Knot in any way, it's actually nerfing Top Knot, and it's making it so other add-ons are more plausible to use by making the effects of Top Knot actually a little bit less. That's all I'd change with Oni. Oni's one of the best killers ever. In fact, Oni is the best killer Dead by Daylight has ever made. He's fantastic, and I love him so much. Good job on that. Deathslinger! Oh my god, I hate this killer so much. I'm completely biased. I hate this killer with an absolute passion. So if my ideas are over the top, that's probably why. So the thing that's really bad about Deathslinger is the fact that he can just use his gun to zone you. I think I'll put a clip of Zubat Lel, because he does this all the time. He just holds his gun, and survivors, side to side, all the time, can't do anything, can't run anywhere, otherwise he just shoots. So, yeah, Deathslinger's power is to not use his power, and then if the survivor realizes that and starts running, then he just has to shoot you. I actually think Deathslinger hasn't hit his peak of strength yet, because I think Deathslinger 1v1 is 100% based on the killer. 100%. It's based on how good they can aim. And the second you get some FPS players come to Dead by Daylight, we're going to have a problem. So what I would do is, first of all, he needs an aim down sight animation. Just so, as a survivor, he can't just quick scope. Like, the quick scope on him is unreal. He feels uncounterable. And is uncounterable. Second of all, he needs a putting the gun away animation, so that he does get penalized for just taking his gun out all the time and putting it up and down, up and down, up and down. Third of all, he needs a large slowdown when holding his gun. You want him to be almost stationary in a way when he's shooting. If you're playing him the way he's meant to be played, then that makes sense. It doesn't benefit you to be moving at any speed. But this strategy of just walking at survivors, which is really strong, but it's also so boring, it nerfs that. His reload add-ons need a nerf. Have you seen them stacked? Oh my life, they are OP. If you're nerfing him this hard, he could probably go up to 115. If you nerf him this hard. Pyramid Head. I actually think the nerf they did to Pyramid Head, where they made it so he can't see people in boxes, has pretty much fixed him. Personally, I would add a short cooldown when he comes out, attack cooldown, when he comes out of his power, just to stop this whole thing of baiting his power to just M1 you. It's boring. I'd rather he uses his power to hit me. That's interesting. Increase the duration of his torment trails by default. I don't see why they don't last ages. And buff his range add-ons. I think buffed range animals could be really interesting for this game. And that's it. This was a 55-minute recording. Yeah. I hope you guys like my ideas, and let me know down below what you guys think. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know. Anyway, catch you guys in the next one.
These are some of the things we expect with summer.